Hello, hello. That's the Archie Luxury. This is the intro for the Marcus Allen Show. That's it there. It's the way it goes there. Fantastic. You've got some great effects.
I don't know why, but I'm Marcus Allen Frishman and you're not. Welcome to the show.
Hey, that's fantastic. It works with you. Talk to me. Marcus, you wanted to, we were just talking before there, and one of the topics you wanted to mention was bullying.
I thought we would discuss bullying, and everything I discuss is my personal experiences. And I have two experiences of bullying. One in middle school and one when I was a famous, almost 4 million viewer TikTok influencer that was monetized there. I went off TikTok at about the 20-week mark, 18 weeks of shows and live streams. And I was garnering on my live streams between 90 and 120,000 people every Sunday. And I was promoting good concepts to improve your life, in love, happiness, business, just on personal experience, not because I'm credentialed in any way in that category. And the hate that just streamed in at about the 2,000 person level, I actually counted it. I know how many people I had to remove and block. And I got to tell you, I'm a believer in dissent and disagreement. Disagreement is not hate. Often people interpret, Archie, disagreement as hate or anger, but it's not. And I welcome disagreement. I love someone who will challenge me or disagree with me. It's way more interesting than you're right, Marcus, but hate is something else. Hate is when they do personal attacks that are completely unrelated to topic. Let's say you're talking to someone, presenting something, showing something, and then the hate comes in. And it's vile stuff, and it's evil, and it's dangerous. And I'd like to talk about it. I'd like to talk about some personal experience of bullying I experienced in middle school, not so much high school, and certainly not college. And I'd like to get some of your viewers' thoughts and your thoughts on hate. And we have a video, and if you could play that formerly posted on TikTok video here, that would be great at some point. But let's have how about we have a watch check? I'm not wearing a watch that Archie Luxury would buy, but I'm wearing a Doxa limited edition diver watch that is a titanium. And I think it's a beautiful limited edition by Doxa. Doxa makes beautiful diver watches.
I'm wearing my Breguet. This is my Breguet Traditional today. I really love that watch. I really love that watch.
Two different kinds of watches. One is a true luxury watch. And
Marcus, let me ask you something there. I want to ask you, bullying, talking about bullying. I noticed you are very, see, the difficult thing with social media is if you are boring, if you're not a bit out there, not a bit weird, you get no traction. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Like okay. The problem I have is that unless you are unusual, you don't get the views or the traction. And when you are unusual, like I'll be honest with you, you are a very unusual individual.
I am.
The problem is it can bite you in the ass. People don't know how to handle it.
Very true. There's something to that rule that you just presented, that when you're weird, odd, or different, you get attention and will get views in the context of this that we're talking about. But you're right. You'll get bullied. You'll get hated. And even this is the strange part that I haven't figured out yet. Even if there's truly intrinsically nothing negative about your topic, you will be hit with hate. You could be against killing babies if there was such a genre. You could be, just talking about anything neutral or loving or godlike, and you will be with vile attacks that really are off topic, frankly, and more personal.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And, it goes to a certain component always comes up. People don't take people at their word when you're an influencer or you're online, or even if you're an expert specialist. You're talking to strangers, essentially. This is not like having a client meeting where you're giving your expertise or advice or opinions to people who want to hear it, respect you. You're hitting people that don't know who you are. You've popped into their feeds and whatever platform you're using. And, I had 4 million viewers and monetized at TikTok. There might be a question, well, what about now? No, I'm off TikTok, and that's another day, another story. But I got fast. I got updated very fast, and I want to tell you how I got instantly famous, massively in the top 5, 3%, whatever the analytics told me I was. Remember, at one point, it said I was 187% more popular than anyone in TikTok ever, anywhere in the world, within 16 weeks. That was my 16-week last analytic narrative. It came in a narrative, not a chart. That's why I'm quoting it. At 3 weeks, it said I was 52% more popular than anyone in the world ever within 3 weeks, or whatever the actual count was. That's a narrative that comes in your analytics at TikTok. You'll mostly get numbers and stats about who's viewing, but it gives you a bit of a narrative, and those are shocking, and I was shocked. But there was something that caused it, and it emanated out of hate. But I got to tell you, I had 4 million people, with many people saying that I changed their lives. Well, be specific, I had several people saying I had changed the lives of their children. And it had to do with my bullying video. 3 or 4 people, hard to remember. One in particular I do remember because I conversed with her personally, where she said because of my video, her son changed the way he was. And I gave additional advice, written advice and private messages to her son via her. And she said it changed my son's life. I mean, that touches you, it just affects you in a serious way. And I don't know why I thought we should talk about that, but I think we should. I'd like to begin by telling you a mistake I made that created my fame.
What's the mistake? Tell me the mistake.
All right. So originally on TikTok, I wanted to create a page that would talk about meeting women and dating in the Philippines. Now, I will tell you, I quickly changed that after about 6 videos, which amounted to be the first week or 2. And I went into love advice, business advice, more generic, just good life, God-based advice. But the reason I started my TikTok with that genre was I was sitting there for 4 years as a viewer, watching people have, 800,000, 1 million viewers, and they were dull and they were boring and they were talking about the Philippines. And I thought, these people don't know anything about the Philippines. I lived there 4 months a year for over 20 years. I had to work there for 5 years as a representative from the California government. I know the Philippines. I'm going to do that. Well, I changed that genre, but in the first few videos, I did a general video of my dating age, my chosen dating age, which was really not by choice. It's by circumstance. I don't control it. It is what it is. And I made a very bad mistake. I'll tell you what it was in a moment. It was about a 10-minute video because they were already extending my videos to 10 minutes because of the volume of my views. When I was on, there was a limit to shorter videos. I don't know if everyone knows this, but no, you couldn't do 10-minute videos, but I was able to. And I did a video where I posted in words the following. My dating age is 13. Let me get it correct now. My lifetime dating age is 13 to 30. I did an intro to this video. Yeah. I did an intro to this video in the same, hi, I'm Marcus Allen. Welcome to my page. We're going to talk about dating ages, and mine has been 13 to 30. Maybe I said 8 to be accurate, by the way. I could play that video now if you wanted. But the point is, that's what people didn't take kindly to was what occurred at 8 minutes and 25 seconds into the video. At 8 minutes and 25 seconds, I finally talked about the girl that I dated that was 13. It was about a 25 second explanation. I said I was 15 and a half. We were driving the streets with my buddy Jeremy. And outside the Woodland Hills, California library, there were two girls that had a flat tire. One was the older sister, and one was my girlfriend of 2 years, to-be girlfriend of 2 years. Her name was Chrissy. I met her that day. She was 13. I was 15 and a half. She turned 14 rather rapidly. As I remember, she was a Cancer like me, so she turned in July 14. And we got serious, whatever that means. And we stayed together 2 years. That was the story. And I had my learner's permit. I was supposed to have an adult in the car, but I didn't. And I was driving in my neighborhood. And we met these two women and helped them change their tire. And I fell in love. But the point of that is nobody cared to the details that I was just a preteen. 15 is preteen, teenager. She was a teenager. They thought as an adult my current dating age was 13. Because of the title of the video, they didn't read it closely, and the intro to the video. So I received, as you can imagine, a number of hate. That video was taken down. I appealed, and it was restored within 24 hours, very quickly. And it was never taken. By the way, when it was taken down, the hate flowed in. I woke up to, he took that down. He's hiding. He's a pedophile. He's, craziness. And of course, I then received my restoration of that video. Thank God for small favors. And they put it back up because they removed it because of the accusation, but then realized it was completely fake and false, even under the hard criteria that TikTok holds you to, these very strict standards of ethics and proper behavior and so forth. They really do have a high standard. I've read their rules and always tried to follow them. So this is what made me tremendously famous. That video went to over 1 million views in a day and then kept getting bigger and bigger. I forget how many. My total viewers were about 4 million by the end of 16 weeks. And I was monetized by 15 weeks, although I didn't get my check until my account was closed. But that's neither here nor there. So what I want to say is hate is just wrong, and people should take people at their word, listen to what people say closely, and don't read between the lines. You're not supposed to be a CIA agent or an analyst when you're conversing with people or when you're watching their video. I once said on this show, I have about 100 watches. I don't know exactly the number. I had criticism in the comments. He doesn't have 100 watches. He's a liar. I thought to myself, of course I do. I mean, who in the world would doubt? If I said I had 1,000 watches, let me say very boldly and insistently, you're to believe that, you're to accept it, and you're to not in your head even make up anything disturbing the the fact that was presented to you. And that just doesn't mean because I'm saying it. It means because anyone's saying it. Start accepting what people say to be true. Start believing people, regardless of what you create in your head as their credibility issues, issues unrelated to what they're talking about that might affect their legitimacy. Just accept what people say. That is the godly way. That is proper ethics and proper etiquette. Unless you have a reason to distrust someone, you should never distrust someone. Sure, be on your guard. There's security concerns. Certain people have exceptions to every rule. But I'm saying be nice to people. Believe everything you're told by whoever it is, except the government. The government's not a person. Entities like that, corporations, they're not people. I'm talking about individuals. That's my thought, Archie. What do you think about that?
Look, I think that's a pretty big mistake, to be honest with you. I think you've got to be. You
want to question people.
Look, I think the thing is, you sometimes what the problem is, you can look. Social media is a very hard platform, okay? Because the big problem is you've got two extremes. You can be conservative with your titles, and the problem is it doesn't rate. It's just noise, a little bit of noise, like a mosquito noise.
Sure.
Whereas if you do something, you've got to try and have clickbait titles.
I was good at that, yeah.
And unfortunately, what they're assuming is underage. And, you know, when you've explained the comment, it's quite harmless enough.
And Archie, I didn't do it thinking anyone would even deem I was talking about underage dating. It didn't dawn on me. It wasn't a trick to get clickbait, just so we're clear. It was the truth factually.
Yeah.
In my entire life, I have dated women between 13 and 30. And getting to details, I've never started dating a woman who was older than 24. I've never been with a woman older than 32. And that's the fact. And I didn't create that. That's my life. But I certainly have not dated any children or minors, nor do I desire to for any reason that's public or private.
We've got a super chat. Here we go. We've got a super chat. Thank you so much, Mac Lobster, $2. You haven't met Narc, apparently. Yeah, no, we control the panelists on this show. That's
maybe Narc's too. Tell me about that.
I think also you seem to, let's be completely honest there, you also put yourself out there like on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it doesn't do you favors. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me tell you this real quickly. My Facebook, I have about 4,000 friends and about 1,000 followers. If you're not my friend on Facebook, you can't see my daily posts or pictures. You can't see them. You can see a limited number of pictures and posts that I make public each year during the course of the year. It's very limited. But you're my friend. You can see everything I do, 1 to 6 posts a day sometimes. I will tell you that I have met every person on my Facebook in person, but for 44 people. I'm sorry, the number changed recently. 47 people. There are 47 people that are my friends on Facebook that I have not met yet, and they're in my Facebook for a reason. I get so many requests. I get over 1,000 requests a year. The reason I know that is when you get 1,000 Facebook requests for friendship and you don't accept or deny, Facebook will notice you. Hey, you better do something with these pending 1,000 or we're going to stop your ability to allow friends to accept you. So I have to delete these people, but I communicate with every one of the 1,000. Sometime it was once a year, it was almost 2,000. I don't let them in.
Do you think people are jealous of some of the economic success you've enjoyed?
I don't know if if jealousy is a part of the criticism, which really applies more to the former TikTok account, not Facebook. But well, these are my friends at Facebook. But I don't know. I'm speechless. I'm rarely speechless because you asked this question about jealousy. I don't know what goes into people's head, but what I do know is that people can be very vile. And then I did a deep dive on TikTok. I started to look at the most simple, humble people that had positive TikToks. And I started to read their comments. And I discovered, this is what put me really at ease, because I was new to this. I didn't know it. I discovered that these people have tremendous hate. Again, remember, hate is not disagreement. You can say, hey, this guy's a jerk. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not hate. That's a disagreement. Yeah, I don't have a credential. That's the answer to. But I can't repeat, although I did a TikTok where I listed all of the accusations, the nastiest that I could find. And I did it, and I called it, I am the most hated man on TikTok. I wasn't beloved. I had 4 million followers, and they loved me. But 2,000, I know the number, give or take, they didn't. And I looked at very fine, noble TikToks, and I saw emanating out, not even related to the topic. You know, the most interesting bit of hate is when the hater says he said this, and then you listen to what he said or she said, and you know, as an intellectual, as a person who pays attention, that they never said that. It was just conjured up in a sick mind's head. So there are a lot of, and I think it is mental illness. I think it just must be, because it doesn't make much sense to me. You get hate, Archie. I read some hate that comes through to you. We all get it. Most of the stuff I see, in fact, I think everything I've ever seen negative of you is untrue. And or if it is true, it certainly shouldn't be a negative, because it's a criticism of a positive characteristic you have.
That's the big problem on this social media, is that it's very distorted. The reality that people have, they kind of like, I think social media now, we're kind of, it used to be you had television, which you would have set, you know, everything before it went out to the public was filtered and structured and scripted and this and that, whereas social media is very quick. You can put a posting on TikTok, or you can have a live stream, which essentially is a couple-second delay stream, and it's so fast. It's so fast.
My live stream is 120, as high as 120,000, something, sometimes 90. I did them on Sundays for about 90 minutes at about this time. And you know, the haters were limited on my lives for some reason. I only got a bit of hate. And this is where I got to see my followers, you know, attack the haters in the roving comments that would zoom by. But I could, on TikTok, I could stop them and I could read them. You can physically hold them still. And it was a wonderful experience. I had to get off TikTok, but we can talk about that another time. But it was a wonderful experience. It was very unique to become that big that fast. And you know what else? On TikTok, they have a number of TikTok influencers where their TikTok is designed to grab your video. It's called stitching on TikTok. And they take it and they stitch it. They call it stitching it. What a stupid name. They take it and put it on their page, and then they edit it and then talk about you. And they usually keep you rolling in the background or to the side of them, like we're doing in this live. And they will rip you to pieces, and they will put out whatever information they wish on you, and they'll say anything about you, talk about clickbait. And some of those categories, I'm going to tell you, 3 of them exceeded my massive following of 4 million. They were in the 10 million, 9 million range. It's a popular subject. Haters want to watch haters. I remember they would stitch my videos So I had 56 stitched videos. Didn't sound like a lot to me considering my volume. And 53 of them, 53 of them were all hate.
All haters.
Two of them were so kind. One lady, she was a reporter for the Washington Post, as I remember, a very young lady in her 20s. And she said essentially this. She said, you know, I looked at every video you did, which wasn't hard to do. I was on there 16 weeks and 18 weeks at the end. And I think when she did this, I was at the halfway point. So it wasn't hard to do. And she said, none of the accusations against you are true. But Marcus, you're your own worst enemy. And then she gave some advice to me, you know, that was her shtick, on how to eliminate the hate, which of course would mean crushing my devastatingly fantastic personality that made me famous. But she said the accusations weren't true. Then there was another woman. I was being accused of really bad ethnic hate, and she was of an ethnic group, and she watched my videos, she read my comments, because I would answer my people that would comment negatively. She said, you don't have a hate bone in your body, and she's absolutely right. So it's funny how the correct ones, and it wasn't because it was favorable to me, because there is legitimate criticism that was issued against me. Legitimate, I wouldn't call that hate. That's criticism, harsh criticism, and it's an opinion, and it may have been correct, and I wouldn't delete those. I never deleted disagreement. I never deleted harsh criticism. It's not right. It's not the right thing to do, in my opinion. And I welcome that, frankly. I like constructive. It's called constructive criticism. And whether I take the advice or not, I enjoyed reading it. But hate, I deleted and I blocked and reported. You know, and you have to do that.
I think some of your topics are very controversial. There seems to be a lot of hatred there. Anything relating to, you know, there used to be a big there is a big movement called the MGTOW, men going their own way. MGTOW.
I don't know this. Brief me quick.
It's basically men who don't date in the Western world. So there's a lot of backlash in the Western world.
Exactly.
To dating Filipinos and the interesting thing is, when I've actually probed you, I've found your advice to be extremely good. Like you said to me, you said to me, you know, if you are dating an impoverished woman, of course she's only going to be going for you as a meal ticket. It's very unlikely. You never are 100. Well, I mean, nothing is impossible, but it's more likely she sees you as a meal ticket than as a equal partner.
It's not advisable, and I've never done it, and I advise against it. However, a woman can learn to love you, and even if her motives were originally flawed, let's put it politely, a woman can learn to love. That's how God created women. Now, a man cannot learn to love a woman. A man has to be attracted to her. And then once he is, all other characteristics matters, all values matter, all these other things matter. But a woman, if she's not attracted to you, she can still learn to love you, even if her goal was the pocketbook. Now, I'm defending what I've advised against, because you have to be balanced. But as far as I'm concerned, I have no. People say, well, why do you date Filipinos? I live in the Philippines. I had to go for a job. I had no choice. And I became single about a month before I went to the Philippines the first time. So, and I've had only long-term committed relationships, 8 years, 4 years, 4 years, 3.5 years, whatever the.
I think people get very jealous of many things you say there. Your Porsche makes you a target.
Yeah, you know, let me tell you something about that, which will tie into hate.
Because the problem is people see your Porsche. Keep going. You tell me. I'll stop. You keep talking. Talk.
I'm going to tie that in. Let me tie it into the hate. When I was in, okay, so let me address it and then take some steps back. I don't buy fancy cologne to impress you or anyone else or any woman, even my girlfriend, my partners. I buy cologne to impress me. I put it on before I go to sleep at night. So help me God. I want to smell good for me. And if it happens to get a compliment in an elevator, I use that as an example because that's when I get the compliment on the heavy dosage of cologne.
Sure.
Is it heavy? Because it's on there so I can smell it and not so other people can smell it. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is I don't do things to impress others. But for my entire life, I have been accused of being a bragger and a flaunter of whatever I'm lucky and God blessed to have in material items and in things that I do and say and so forth that are related maybe to travel or things that take a checkbook or a credit card to get through. But I got to tell you, that goes back to when I was in middle school. I was bullied in middle school, not in high school, and not certainly in college when I was, a leader of the pack, so to speak. And I believe I was bullied for a couple of reasons. I was homeschooled, not in public school, from second grade to middle school, which started in sixth grade, where I went. And I went to middle school in Calabasas. It's called A.E. Arthur Edward Wright Public School. But I was privately tutored for all those years. And I didn't like people much. I didn't find a need to have friends. I didn't find a need to have people that were in my age range. Mostly I associated with much older people. I was an older soul, they used to say. There was a joke when I was a very young kid. Marcus has three-piece pajamas because I liked wearing suits. I put on a suit and tie, not to go to school, but when I was out of school. And I didn't have a job, for God's sakes. So I was a bit odd, but I cared about fashion. I cared about how I looked. I cared about myself, not because I was conceited and self-absorbed, but because I was confident. Overconfidence is often misunderstood and misinterpreted to be narcissism. One day we should do a show on that. I have a minor in psychology.
Sure.
Versus overconfidence, which is interpretation. So I'm an overconfident kid. I always was. And I was bullied in high school. Junior. I'm going to tell you what they used to call me. They used to call me a faggot. I don't have a gay bone in my body. But I will tell you one thing. I defended the faggots. I defended the gay people. I defended anyone that had their own unique style. And I always have all my life. And therefore, I learned because of this, I learned to respect people. I learned to have no filters because I learned to not care. And I learned to be my own man, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral. And the legal and ethical and moral concepts, you evolve over time. You become closer to God. You become closer to less of a rebel. I was, as a kid, I was a rebel of authority, but certainly not in the sense we call them now.
Sure.
There were no gang members in Calabasas, California. So I was sneaking into Universal Studios a lot. That was one of the things I did. We would get into trouble a lot with the few friends that I had. But one thing's for certain is I never buckled being who I was. I was never beating by the same drummer as the average person. And I learned to not have what's the word? Filters. The beauty is that when you speak to me, you get the truth. The good, the bad, and the ugly, however you want it. I don't put on airs. I'm who I am, And you will love me or hate me. But one thing's for sure is I defend those that are picked on. I give advice on TikTok, as I told you, that helped several people, many people. One woman that I communicated with made clear I changed her son's life because I convinced her son he mustn't change because people are bullying him. When you have an exaggerated, unaccepted personality trait, do it more often. Do what makes you happy. The key is happiness. There's also one other advantage. You won't have stress in your life. You won't have worries because for instance, somebody texted me the other day, a dear friend of mine who I've known many years but have not been close to. And she said to me, you know, Marcus, I always wondered why you're so negative. And it's a little out of context, that comment, but it nevertheless gets to my point. I'm negative because I'm prepared for disaster. I'm prepared for the worst thing to happen. I'm prepared for it for my clients. I'm prepared for it for myself. And when something doesn't go right in your life during the day, big picture, small picture, micro issues, whatever, it's okay. I can handle it. And I smile with a challenge, and I can't wait for the traffic ticket. I can't wait for the parking ticket. I can't wait for the car to get totaled. I knew it would get totaled. It did. It's okay. I called good old Maury. He picked it up. I got a new car with the insurance money. So whatever's going to happen that's bad in your life, think of it ahead of time. Make a list of all the worst things that could happen, all the people that are going to die, all the people that are going to hurt you, the robberies. You were robbed, Archie, and it was absolutely devastating to me to watch those videos of yours and watch you come home. And the only thing that was missing on those videos was you never teared up, but I'm sure there was some of that. And then the hate that I watched. Oh, he's making, I have to laugh now, but he's making this up. I saw so many, I couldn't believe it. Who would, even if you did make it up, who has the facts of such a serious allegation? You know, you just don't. This goes back to take people at their word. You know, try to be kind to people. Don't give everyone a hassle. And why don't you, if you can you play my video?
Sure. Now, what I've had to do is I've had to upload it to my channel. So I did that. Let me just get the video. I'm just going to play this. Just hang on.
I'll fill it. I'll do filler. It's a formal TikTok video that was quite popular and quite helpful. And I got to tell you, it was about bullying, preventing bullying, not bullying. It was anti-bullying, and it got bullies. It got bullied. This video, people found many, not all, most.
Here we go. Let's start it now.
Hi, friends. I have over 1.5 million viewers in just a few weeks that I've been here. TikTok says I'm off the charts with regard to the time I've been here compared to others in the world. This video is going to score the least of it. I'm going to talk about bullying because it's important. Everyone seems to be angry. The pandemic didn't help. The last election in America didn't help. And there's a spiral downward in nastiness. So I want to address it briefly, and I want to get some of you to think about respect and kindness. But first, let me comment on bullying. When you're a bully, you don't always know it. So we can give you a pass on it, at least initially, because you are just overwhelmed with the euphoria of bullying. Now, the thing about bullying is that people around you can see you're a bully. Your friends, your family, your workmates, your employer. And in all of those categories, particularly in the employment scenario, you will be viewed less. You will not be regarded favorably. So when you bully someone, in the long run, you hurt yourself by gaining that reputation.
I see here as an anecdote on TikTok, so many accounts designed on the premise of goodness to bully people, to shame them. Maybe some of the shamings are accurate. Maybe they aren't. But either way, it's gossip. Gossiping is never good. Also, they challenge people at their word. Boy, that's negative. I take people at their word. So what I want you to think about is your children are watching, right? Your friends are watching, your family's watching, your employer might be watching, and you are abusing other people by attacking them all over in all sorts of scenarios. Now, I know I'm being very general here, and I'm not speaking of myself. I'm speaking for and about others. You know, I'm not an alpha male. I call myself a metrosexual. Look at the other videos, look it up on the internet. It's a man who's a heterosexual, but has feminine qualities. So I have been susceptible to bullying. But the thing about me is I'm overconfident. I'm an overconfident man. So I know that I'm on a higher plane, or at least believe that I'm on a higher plane, and that's all that matters, from other people. It's just what I think. So that may be a sense of arrogance, but it has protected me from bullying, and it has helped me deal with the bullies that go after other people, because it's evil. It's evil. And I think your duty, whether I believe in God, not everyone does, but there are things that will guide you into goodness. Bullying can never be part of it. Never. Teasing is not bullying. Fair enough? It has to reach a certain level. You have to learn to love people. You have to learn to trust people maybe that you don't know, or maybe you don't want to know. And there are some horrible people out there that are clearly not good types, okay? But you don't bully them either. Move on. Give it a pass. You have to pick your battles. I am aware of that. So this small talk about bullying is just to get people to think about how not to bully. I wish I could give some specific examples on how to solve this problem, but that would take too long. I actually can. But I think if you think, and this is important to you, there are websites, bullying.gov, bullying.org. Go there and they will help you. And remember to be kind to people. Remember to be sweet. Remember to be gentle. Metrosexuals like myself have those qualities. They're innate. Some people have to learn it. I'm Marcus Allen. Thanks for listening. Please follow me. Even if you don't agree, you can voice your disagreement. I'll post it, but I don't allow personal attacks. Just disagreements, complimentary comments, and certainly follow.
Well, there we go. More good advice. Archie has left the room. I think we're getting sun.
No, I was listening to the video there. Very good advice there. I got to tell you something with that commentary there. The reality is with bullying, do you think you are being bullied yourself now?
Oh, no, I haven't. Like I say, I've only experienced bullying in high school and bullying in, not high school, I keep saying that, middle school, junior high, and on TikTok. But no, in my life, there's nobody around me that, I spend my day helping people. I get paid to do it, but that's what essentially I do. I help people get out of trouble with the government in whatever way they've created it. And when I was in government,
tell me this. Why do people dislike you so much? Why do they hate you? Because you are so different to the norm. I think the answer is the reason, and I must say this, you are so unusual. That's why I want to run these shows. People say, why do I run these shows? And the answer is because he is such an unusual guy. He's an individual.
Yes, I am. And I'm a dichotomy in some respects. I am dualed in some components that appear to be mirrored. But yeah.
And I got to say to you, the reality is social media itself is very tough. If you have just boring topics, nobody's going to watch you.
Right. Well, very few.
The problem is in social media is a lot of people keep pushing the envelope because they're trying to, when you depend on this for a living, people have done more and more extreme things to get views, and it leads to bad consequences.
Oh yeah, that ranges to the physical interactions with other people. And you saw what happened to the Russian gentleman in, well, his lack of it. He's actually not a gentleman. I don't know why I would post his title, in the Philippines. He's in jail. He's going to be there a long time.
What did he do, that guy?
Oh, he would run up to people and insult them and grab their hats and run behind McDonald countertops and destroy the food and take guards' guns, and he's in jail now, and he's in a lot of trouble. He was a very large YouTuber.
Oh.
Look it up, the Russian guy in jail. It's easy to find because he's massively large. He was large before he was arrested. The Philippines aren't going to let him out. America has disavowed him. And he's just a bad guy. God almighty.
This is Vitaly.
Yeah, you
is a Russian-born YouTuber and internet content. Later immigrating to the United States, Vitaly became known for his YouTube pranks and publicity stunts, some of which have culminated in him being arrested and imprisoned.
Because he was harassing people. He was evil. He was hurting people. It wasn't nice at all. Psychological warfare on people.
This is in April 25. He was arrested over criminal of intent, vexation, theft, and public harassment.
By the way, I remember I told you I was investigated for unjust vexation and ultimately cleared in the Philippines. Unjust vexation means you're annoying. In the Philippines, it is a crime, a criminal act to be annoying. And the act of unjust vexation, which we covered in
he faces up to 18 months in prison and will not be deported, as both Russia and the United States have declined to accept him. What does that mean?
Well, that means his immigration status is revoked in America, and Russia can do anything it wants with its citizens. I've never heard of a country not accepting their citizen back. He's just a bad guy. I watched a few of his videos only after he came through my feeds, a couple of years ago, but it was nothing I'd be interested in. It probably entered my feeds due to the fact he's in the Philippines, but it was terrible stuff. And then when he got in trouble, I watched, I don't know, 8 or 9 of his videos. They were just terrible, terrible, terrible. I knew he'd be in trouble there because you can't get away. The unjust vexation law, you don't even have to have intent. If the party receiving the words or the actions from you receive it in a negative way.
I've never heard that. That's so ridiculous, but you know what I mean?
The law is ridiculous, but in his case, they got him on a few other charges, not just unjust vexation. We don't have unjust vexation in America because a number of our laws relate to intent. If you insult someone, first of all, we have free speech. You're allowed to insult someone in America. You're allowed to have hate speech in America. It's protected. Hate speech is clearly protected. It's never been a dispute. You can't have hate speech in the UK. I don't know about Australia, but and that's a good thing because you don't want to limit speech. In 9/11 brought in a significant law that did limit free speech in America, but it goes to, for the first time ever, the Supreme Court supported some limitation in speech, but it goes to absolute threats. It used to be in America, you could threaten verbally the president, you could threaten a police officer, federal officials with death, and your neighbor too, and your ex-girlfriend. But unless you had an act that corresponded to the potential, they would do nothing, not even investigate. It was not remotely illegal. But in the update of America's terrorist acts, they now actually call it terrorist harassment, even though, you know, it may be your neighbor. I don't mean to diminish it, but it is now illegal in America to make threats, certain threats. Verbal threats is what I mean.
I mean, these charges.
But in the Philippines, you can't do that. You can't do it at all. He's a real jerk. That's what you call a jerk. I mean, he's just a typical jerk. That's what we would call him in America. His actions in America would be illegal because he did a lot of physical touching. He did a battery upon people. He did he did vandalism. He did I'm describing it at American standards, and he did trespassing. A lot of trespassing, a lot of entering, you know, and he's videotaping all of this. So it's okay if you want to be a jerk and do dangerous stuff. I suppose it's okay if you do it to yourself to get views. I don't recommend that. But this guy was doing it to other people. Every video, every video had a victim. Terrible. Hey, where's all the super chats here?
Yes. I got to say, Marcus, would you ever tone down your personality on YouTube? You seem to have an idea of the formula, what you need to be popular.
Well, it's not working here very well, in my opinion, but I think that's because it may be too complicated to figure out. But I'm talking to your viewers, and I'm talking to people that follow you. You know, my YouTube has, you know, 9 dog videos or something. I've never had a significant YouTube. I use it as a watcher, not as a poster. I do post on Facebook, and as I say, it was a TikTok sensation. But I've thought about opening I have a YouTube channel, but I thought about starting to post at YouTube, but I never did. That's when I reached out to you and we talked about doing this.
Yeah. How do you find, like, you had huge success on TikTok? What was your most popular? What was the title of your most popular TikTok posts?
I think the video where I announced, it wasn't true, but I announced I'm the most hated man on TikTok, and that was the title of it. And I got so many views that I did a part 1 and part 2. I don't think there was a part 3. And I listed all the hate. I said, in this video, I'm going to tell you what everyone has said about me. It really wasn't everyone. As I say, I had 4 million viewers. It was the 2,000 nutters. But I thought it was entertaining. And so I did this list. The list, it was vile, Archie. I won't repeat it here. They'll probably take, you know, YouTube, I understand you got to be careful. But it was vile. I mean, they had me as a serial rapist. They had me wanted in Connecticut. The state of Connecticut. I don't know. You know, it was just weird shit that they were saying.
We've got another super chat. Mac Lobster, $2. Marcus, where do you get your shirts? 2 palms?
Oh, the shirt started with TikTok, actually, because I had a trip planned to Hawaii, and it was 14 days, and COVID made Hawaii inaccessible, a real hassle. You had to be quarantined for, I think, 14 days, a 14-day quarantine before you could do your 14-day vacation. So when my trip was canceled to Hawaii, I bought 14 shirts. Some are bowling shirts, some are Hawaiian shirts, and they're all like this. And oddly enough, I didn't go to the designer brands that I would normally fall upon, Ralph Lauren or Tommy Bahama. They do great silks, but I wanted something that I could throw in the wash, bring it out without ironing, and I bought them all on Amazon. You look up Hawaiian shirts on Amazon, and I believe they're at full price, $17. And they come right out of the wash, and they are so comfortable. No need to go to Ralph Lauren or the famous other famous designers when you want to wear one of these. One of them was my sponsor. So the bowling shirts, I reached out to them and I said, I'm getting so many comments on my shirts. Can you be my sponsor? And I'd have to have a bowling shirt to remember the name of the sponsor, but it's one name, begins with an R. And they said, sure, how much? I said, $1,000. And they sent me $1,000. So I just, kept wearing and mentioning their shirts. So that's the answer to that. Thank you for asking. I don't know if you like shirts. I see I get criticized for the bowling shirts and Hawaiian shirts. By the way, in my normal day, I wear a suit and tie, and I'm always in shorts or a casual polo shirt or a Hawaiian shirt like this if I'm not meeting clients. So I'm in the extreme.
What got you to leave TikTok? Why did you pull down your account?
Remember I brought that up twice, and I said it's a story in itself, and we're at 7:27 on the show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we do that next week.
Yeah,
next week.
We touch on several issues, so it can be one of them. Sure.
No, we can certainly do that. Marcus, it's time to wrap up.
I can do a hook. I can do a hook.
Hook. Give me a hook.
I took it down. My life was at risk. Let's talk about it.
That sounds very good. We've got another super chat in here. MT85, $2. Sounds like Archie, same shirt. There we go, guys. We had a bit of a slow day. 3 super chats, Mac Lobster, and MT85. Thank you so much. Marcus, will you join us again next week?
See you next Sunday, 6:30 Pacific time. I'm Marcus.
I got to tell you, I love these shows. I've learned about the bullying. The important thing is stay true to yourself.
That's very true, Archie.
Stay true to yourself. And
I see that characteristic in you. You clearly have the characteristic of staying true to yourself and being who you are, notwithstanding criticism, and you have that component in your personality.
Yeah. Marcus, it's been a pleasure. See you next week. Thank you so much.
Love. God bless everyone.
See you later, guys.